Alright, fuckers and fuckettes. Something else I gotta show you here. As I was replacing these hoses, I figured out that it wasn't my relay fuse that was bad, even though I'm still gonna put on a new one and throw this old one away. It's just fucking thing's 30 years old. But see right here? That's been up against that pipe, and that's because somewhere along the line somebody didn't route that wire right. Tie that sumbitch off to one of your oil lines to where it stays away from your pipe, and tie your oil lines to where they stay away from your pipe. In fact, I'm going to shorten this one a little bit on purpose so that it'll hold my wire. And that's not the only spot I noticed where there's wires rubbing. See that hot lead right there on that? I did that the other day when I put that brake light switch on. That's got to come away, because that's just going to rub right there on that oil line, and it's going to fuck shit up. Anyway, I figured I'd mention that to you. That's why it's important to tie your wires off, and when you do your oil lines up here, you know, run them through your crush pan or rock pan, whichever you prefer to call it. Make sure that you secure them to the frame. I'm going to put one more in there for good measure. Little things like that, I mean, as long as you're down going through the bike anyway, do it all. I'm going to wrap this with cloth tape. I'm going to get rid of all this vinyl tape, because if that would have been cloth tape, it would have never melted through. And this cloth tape I keep talking about is this shit here. Cloth friction tape. Anyway, it's beautiful for electric stuff, and it's a lot more effective, and it looks a lot better 10 years later than that goddamn vinyl shit. And you ain't gonna melt through it. That's why they use it on aircraft, and vinyl shit will actually get you failed on an FAA inspection. Must be a reason behind that. Anyway, I just figured I'd point that out, that little things like that can fuck up a whole bike, and you know, I mean, not fuck up the whole bike, but they can fuck up your trip if you're out there riding it. And yeah, I know it's a Harley, 200 miles, it's gonna be, everything's gonna be loose again, gotta fucking work on it again. But that's part of the deal with a Harley, you know. If you own a Harley and you don't turn your own wrenches, fuck you. You got no business owning a goddamn Harley. Or any other motorcycle for that matter. But look at that. That melted right through. That's bare wire in there. But that's just because it was laying up against the damn pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this hose to where it's tight. Not tight, but you know, in. And then I'm going to zip tie that to it. And that'll keep it off the exhaust. And the same thing down here. Even though they're oil lines and you think, oh shit, they got oil flowing through them, they're going to stay cool. Make that shit tight enough to where it's not going to touch up against the pipe like that one right there. I'm going to fix that shit. I don't like the way that looks. Anyway, that I guess is helpful hints number 2. I've seen a few other things on here that definitely need looking at. But when you're going through these old bikes like this, you know, the usual, change your oil, check all your rubber seals. In this case, I had to change all the rubber hoses. I'm still not done yet. I'm going to change these fuel lines too, because even though, here, let me give you an idea. That one was swelled, that's an oil line. That one was swelled, and it's brittle enough I could crack it just by bending it. That's brand new line. Where'd that other oil line go? That's got to be it right there. No, that's that 5/16 line. Fuck I did with that oil line. There it is. Look at this shit here. Now that explains why you change your lines every 5 years. Granted, that's a 30-year-old line. You see how that end is all fucked up? See how that shit's long since soaked in? You got dry rotted spots. The inside looks real pretty. The outside looks real pretty in a lot of spots. There's a lot of spots where I could just bend them and crack that shit. If your lines are more than 5 years old, replace them. It's that simple. And your wiring, these little relay fuses, just change them out of hat. Also, if you're in it this far, take your key switch apart and take you some CRC electronic parts cleaner and clean that shit. Simple as that. Other than that, yeah, and by the way, that CRC electronic parts cleaner, you can get that at AutoZone, Discount Auto Value, all them places. And fresh spark plug wires, of course. I mean, if you got 30-year-old spark plug wires, they're cracking, and yeah, that little zap on a moist day fucking hurts that leg. But yeah, alright. I'm hoping that this is somewhat helpful. But holler at y'all fuckers and fuck it. Oh yeah, and the proper way to drain these Harley tanks, don't worry about that petcock. Do drain your carburetor bowl. Always drain your carburetor bowl, but don't bother with your petcock. You got a line that crosses over between the tanks. All I did was stick a funnel up underneath that sumbitch, and I held this one in the funnel with my fingers and had this one aimed in the funnel. Drain them out that way. It's the only way you're going to get them down to bone dry. You can fuck with that petcock on reserve all you want to. You're still going to have an 1/8 to 1/4 inch of gas in there when you're done shaking the bike around 2 hours later. This is quick, it's easy, it works. And if you're in it to do, you know, a just bought it service or a just bring it out of storage service, you're changing that fucking hose anyway. You might as well go on ahead and drain your goddamn tank, flush it out, clean it, do it right. And me, this one's just getting flushed with fresh gas because that's all it needs. And other little things. All your rubber seals, make sure that they're good, of course. And your little PCV filter, go on ahead and change it. Alright. And of course change your air filter. Holler at y'all fuckers and fuckettes later.